Hi, everyone. It's Angelica Allen here. I always get a little confused by when we go live and when we don't. But I am happy to be here with Elisa Fazio, a very brave, young, and beautiful lady who is going to share with us her story, which is a very personal story. So I feel very blessed and proud to be here with her and for her to be sharing that with me and with everybody that is watching. But hi, Elisa, how are you?
Hi, Angelica. Nice to be here with you. I'm good. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about, this, your personal story around you know, your health, a health issue that you had.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I'm talking from Italy. So I'm very glad to connect with you through this platform. And I'm here today to share my story. And I really thank you to have this opportunity too, because I never told this story before to anyone except some close friends. So it's a big thing for me. So basically, after a relationship with a guy in 2013, this guy live in Miami, in Florida, and uh, we met after a long time. Basically, we worked together in Switzerland when in very young age, and then we didn't see each other for 10 years, and then we met again on Facebook all of a sudden, and our love story started. Just a long story made short. And basically, he came here to Italy, and he was a very lovely person. He really looked fine mentally. He was a
Yeah,
manager in a hotel. He was like normal person.
yeah,
The person you say, okay, I trust this person. He's clean and he looks wonderful. And basically we started this relationship, and after a few months I was supposed to go to Florida, to Miami, to visit him because he was very busy with job and stuff. And so this is what I did. So I went to Miami, and after a few days I realized he had another relationship there. And so after 4 days, it was my first travel ever out of Europe.
wow,
And basically he drove me with all my luggage in a hostel, and everything happened all together for me. But basically we broke up there, so after 4 days. But during those 4 days I had this of course a sexual
yeah,
interaction with him. Like we went intimate.
yeah,
After a few days, I noticed I was having outbreaks, and I was taking the pills at the time, so I was safe, concerned to what is about getting pregnant. So I didn't.
yeah.
I was having not protected.
Oh, sex,
Yeah,
yeah,
sexual interaction, and basically I saw these outbreaks I was having in my genital area, and I really didn't know what that was. I started getting a fever. I was feeling my muscle itchy, and I
itchy. Did
was
you say itchy or
like
painful?
painful.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah, I was feeling my muscle all painful. And basically when I came back to Italy, I was diagnosed with genital herpes, so type 2. And that changed completely my life, completely, because genital herpes, there is no cure for genital
yeah,
herpes. So it's something that stay dormant. Sorry, maybe I'm saying
yeah,
the
yeah. No,
word.
it is that. That's the right word. Yeah,
Yes, dormant in your body, so in your spine actually. And basically it starts waking up, and you eventually experience several outbreaks during the year or the weeks or months, um, whenever your immune system start becoming weaker.
yeah,
And so basically my story, because of course from that I studied everything about genital herpes.
Wow.
So of course we become our own
Own
doctor.
doctors, yeah.
And basically I realized that there was no cure, that the only thing I could use was some medicament, drugs, as you say in
Yeah.
English,
Yeah,
which in
yeah.
Italian
Yeah.
sounds a little bit weird because it's something else completely. But I start using these drugs, but actually as soon as I stopped the drugs, the outbreaks
Come
was
back.
coming again back to me. And this is not something very common, because among people that have been diagnosed with genital herpes, 85% of people, they don't actually know they have it because they don't have any outbreaks. And I was in the 15%. So I had outbreaks every single month. And
So
this changed my life
so
completely.
so basically you're saying that 85% could have, the herpes in their spine, but
Yeah,
not have any symptoms or not know or
exactly.
anything. And when you
Yes,
say it was type 2,
yes.
that was because it was in the genital area, or is it because it was a
Yes,
different? Yeah, okay.
yes, because type 1 is usually the one that we have on the lips,
Yeah.
and type 2 is actually the one that we have on the genital area, which can be also transmitted to oral sex. For example, if
Oh,
someone
yeah.
has an outbreak on their lips and you are kind of weak,
Uh-huh.
connect into your immune system, you can get this illness as well. So you can get genital herpes as well. So it's not actually that you have to have sex with someone else to get it, like penetration.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can just have oral sex. So, and
So if somebody has got on their lips, if it's type 1, and if
yes,
they have um oral sex, they can transmit to the other person, and that become
absolutely.
type 2.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And the outbreaks are very painful, so they don't even allow you to sit. So it's very painful sitting, or it's even painful going to the toilet, or it's painful just to wear your underwear, or just it's very, very painful. And also mentally make you feel weak, make you feel like you are a victim, make you feel like it's very hard to handle. And obviously there is a lot of shame around
Yeah,
these
I can imagine now.
thing. There is a lot of shame, and also I realize during the years that we think that all these things happen to dirty people, to people that are not,
Yeah.
that they can't understand who is in front of them, and you should be always careful who you go with. But actually this guy was a normal guy.
Yeah. And
He
I mean, it's
wasn't.
not like you just met him either, right? You had it was like even though you didn't meet for 10 years, you had a relationship, and then you could
Yes,
he have had it and not have, I mean, obviously it's a little bit hard to know, like, he could have had it and not knowing and have passed on to you, and you get
I
the
I
outbreak.
believe, sorry, I believe that he knew it,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the week before I went to Miami, he called me and he said, I'm feeling very sick. I have fever. I have a muscle pain. So he actually told me all the symptoms that I experienced afterwards.
Wow.
But of course, he missed out to tell me that he was having another relationship with someone else, or I'm calling that relationship, but that could be random meetings. I don't know what that
Yeah.
was. I don't, but he was seeing someone else. And so basically, this happened to me. But what I also want to tell about this is that I had um, child abuse, and people that has this kind of experience um, basically studied has shown that they can have a lower immune system because during the child abuse and during the adulthood, your immune system can't recognize what is wrong coming in your body and
Okay.
what has to be fight. And this is all connected to personal boundaries.
And
And
trauma.
often it's translated to a weak immune system.
Wow.
So that was very fascinating in a sense for me because it really makes sense because I spent maybe a couple of years wondering why this happened to me,
Yeah.
why me, I'm not a bad person, why this is happening to me on top of all what happened to me, you know?
So you
Like
were
if
already like you were already
yeah,
dealing with the child abuse. It was something that you were aware that you had to deal with. Because I know that some adults, they get to adulthood and they don't even realize that they had been abused, right? But you knew
yes,
when you were dealing with it, and then all of a sudden you are faced with this, and
yes.
yeah. So you spend these 2 years thinking, oh, why me again, right?
Exactly, yes. Also because I used to struggle a lot with eating disorder. And so I went to a group therapy, psychotherapy group with other women. So, I was already doing a lot of work on myself, to overcome things in my life. And this came on top of it. I already had so many issues sexually with men, but that gave me another realization. So I'm actually grateful that this happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's weird, but I'm very grateful because before that, I wasn't really aware which kind of man I wanted to choose. So I
Mm.
was actually getting into random relationship and not feeling connected with what I needed
Mm-hmm.
and what I was feeling. So I was perceiving a lot of dissociation from my body, disconnection with my
Mm.
body, even in sexual interaction. But when I get diagnosed with genital herpes, which of course it's not who I am, of course, because
Yeah.
we are the soul. So this is the body we are in
Yeah.
and it. But of course, we are moving in the material platform with this. So our experience come
Yeah.
through this body. So we are experiencing this. And these allow me to understand the people better because from that point on, I always inform each of my partner that I had this genital herpes.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Always.
That was very hard to do. So before
I
doing this, I
bet.
was crying because I didn't want to lose that person. And
It's a big
and I
responsibility, right? Like
yes,
as a person who's carrying that, like you
absolutely.
said, I mean, you could have done the same thing as the guy did to you, but obviously you didn't want to be that person, right? Um, I mean, it's, I mean, I'm so incredibly proud of you. You speak with so much confidence, and I can see you have done so much healing. And I feel very blessed to be here. And thank you so much for sharing this
Thank you.
experience,
Thank you.
and even
Thank
like talking about your child abuse. I think there's so many people in that place, right? And I think probably we have been on on similar journeys of healing ourselves. Once we start manifesting kind of the same situations in our lives, it gets to a point that we need to heal once and for all, right? And it sounds like the when you talk about being grateful for the genital herpes is when you had to reach the absolutely limit and you needed to heal yourself,
you.
like
Yes.
for good. Do you feel like that?
Yes, I feel like that. I feel like that. I still have sometimes outbreaks because this
Yeah.
is much connected, of course, to my mental state or
Yeah.
my body stressed. But I learn a lot, and it's beautiful because we usually look for mind and body connection,
Yeah.
like like if that's not already there, but that's already there
Yeah.
because your body and all the symptoms you are experiencing, it's a direct reflection of what is going on in your mind.
Yeah.
And so sometimes during these last maybe 3 4 years, I was meeting people and my body was already having an outbreaks if
Wow.
these people wasn't for me. It's like it was
It gives me
the way my
goosebumps.
body was communicating with me, just keep yourself safe. This is not good for
Wow.
you, you know. So it's amazing. Our body, it's
That's
yeah.
beautiful. It does it. I would always say that the body is more intelligent than the mind, right? Even though we think it's the opposite, but it's amazing how much the body knows, and all the experiences that we have, and that's a beautiful way to describe and how your body's already protecting you, right?
Yes, yeah,
So how did
absolutely.
you, I mean, when you look at, you mentioned that you spent 2 years in this really, sounds like it was a little bit of a dark place because, you're feeling shame. And how did you started healing yourself? What did you do?
Mhm. Okay, I started practicing yoga, and I have to be very honest with you. I believe that yoga really help
Yeah.
people, but you really need to look to the right style of yoga. Let
Yeah.
me explain better why I'm saying this. I start practicing Ashtanga yoga,
Yeah.
and I do believe in the Ashtanga yoga tradition, and I believe it's a beautiful practice. But I also have to say, and this is what my experience
Yeah.
is, that Ashtanga yoga sometimes become also a way to punish yourself because it's very demanding.
Mhm.
It's a very strong
Yeah.
practice. It's a very masculine practice.
Mm.
So, like for a woman, the way I was experiencing Ashtanga yoga was I have to become a man. I have to be stronger. I don't have to cry on myself. I don't have to be very compassionate towards myself. I just have to do it and
Yeah.
practice and shut up. Like there
Yeah.
was all mind
Yeah.
chattering in my brain, and then I realized over the years that I need another style of yoga, and I came across yoga for trauma yoga, trauma
Oh,
informed
beautiful.
yoga. And I'm currently studying so to become a trauma yoga informed teacher.
Beautiful.
And that really was like completely different world and perspective. And I realized why I was following the wrong tradition, the wrong style of yoga for myself. Because we need to become compassionate, we need to work through shame and guilt. And actually, I found that trauma informed yoga really allow you to do so.
Yeah.
And to feel connection with the body, because for people that went through child abuse
Mm.
or other kind of abuse, they have a lot of disconnection and shame to connect with their own body, even with the breath.
Yeah.
So if I walk to a yoga class and I have the teacher that is always smiling, flowers and
Yeah.
birds,
Yeah.
and ask me to connect with your body and feel your body, sometimes for me it's very hard to,
Mm.
because I'm just trying to escape my body as anything, And this is also connected to people suffering of eating disorder or any kind of
Yeah.
other addictions. So they need something outside themselves to rely on. So they can't walk in a yoga class and already feeling so connected
Yeah.
within. They need to
This
feel
is so
connected
resonate.
around.
That so
They need to
resonate with
be
me.
connected to small things,
Yeah.
and uh, and I believe that to be much more organic in terms of walking this yoga path and
Yeah.
be also authentic, so not becoming
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
meditator on the Himalayan mountain, and
Floating.
be yeah and be very truthful with what you have, the tools
Yeah.
you have right now and where you are at, and not trying to be something else because everybody in the room looks like yogis, perfect
Yeah.
yogis, and I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if you.
so resonate. That really resonates with me. I remember I started doing yoga during my cancer treatment, And I
Yes.
was at home. I had self quarantined myself because I was getting sick with every colds and coughs. And when you get sick, you can't have your treatment. So I didn't want to have any delays on my treatment. And I remember the first time that the yoga teacher on YouTube says, sit down and connect your body, smiling. And you were like this, like, what is it, even the body? Like,
Exactly.
who am I really? Like, I didn't think that I had the body. Like, I felt that, my mind was miles away from my body. And I always, when I talk about my journey at home, staying, especially because I stayed so much by myself, and I built this relationship with my body step by step from nothing. Like I said, I was sitting there, and I felt such a, like, a disconnection that I almost like asked myself, like, where have I been? No, almost,
Yeah.
no, I did ask myself, where, how can I have not been in my body for years now.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think what you're saying so resonate with me, that it's such a process. It's not like this, yoga has become so commercial these days, and I did become a yoga teacher and follow the Ashtanga, um, um, methodology. And I, now that you were saying that, you were right. I mean, I feel that you are right, because it's, especially when you see, like, videos of people that have been practicing with gurus in India. It's like, it's very, you have this perfect picture of these elastic people that, you know do whatever they want with their bodies, and they're, oming and floating. But that is not really the reality of a healthy, yoga practice at home. I still do that. After, it's going to be 3 years this year, that in July, that I have been practicing yoga, since I started. And I feel such a deep connection with my body now, but it didn't happen like overnight.
Yes. Yeah.
it,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think what you're saying is so beautiful, that you're going to be an amazing teacher, by the way, especially, you've got so much wisdom and knowledge, and through your own experiences, so much that you can share to help other people.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
So after you've done the yoga and you started kind of connecting a little bit more with yourself, like, what else did you do?
Hmm.
I know you practice Reiki as well, and
Yeah. Yes. I practice Reiki and I teach Reiki level 1 and level 2. And that was very, it's still a nice journey. I believe that I'm moving a little bit away from Reiki right now, but just because I want to explore other practices as well. But I believe Reiki to be very beneficial. But I have to say this, if you are someone getting Reiki treatments, it's very important that you take active responsibility for your own healing, and not just going to the Reiki therapist, laying down and waiting for the healing to appear within you. Also, because that's another way of acting the role of someone else know what is
yeah,
best for me. I don't know, so heal me.
yeah,
So it's a very powerless state
yeah,
where to be. So it's very important that you maybe combine Reiki with other practices.
yeah,
It can be yoga, it can be any walking, running,
yeah,
anything else. No? So it's not that when we talk about yoga, actually we are talking about the third limb of yoga. So the
yeah,
yoga asana, okay? But yoga is 8 limbs,
yeah.
and is made up of different elements.
Yes,
And so you can be also a perfect yogi, just cooking and chopping your vegetables with a lot of awareness and compassion,
yeah,
and bhakti with love. So you cook for other people with love. you can be a yogi like that, you know. You
Yeah.
don't need to practice headstand or sun
Yeah.
salutation, you know. But the nice things of all these postures is that you are activating your nadis, so your energy channel,
Yeah.
so you are working through stuff. And this is there to support your journey, but it's not the whole journey eventually.
Yeah.
So Reiki is very helpful because works on your central nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
and basically helps to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible of relaxation
Relaxation.
and digestion. And when we say relaxation and digestion, we don't only talk about sleeping and eating, but we are talking, of course, about emotion, about experiences, and especially where for people that went through a lot in their life,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter something very dramatic or not. Everybody has trauma in their body to a certain extent. And this is what people can't accept and recognize, because they say, oh, she's worse than me, I shouldn't complain, or he's worse than me, I should. But we all have the right
Yeah.
to complain if this helps our healing, you know,
Yeah.
and if this help us to understand that we need to really to be more compassionate towards where we are at. And Reiki really helps in these terms to relax your body, but then ultimately you need to also integrate other practices where you are taking charge of your own healing with your own hands. I don't know how to explain the
Yeah, I
different
think that now
techniques
you
for it.
explain it beautifully. I think that it's so important what you've just said about being active on your healing. You know, I think we live in a world these days that we want instant reward, right? So I had abused my body for 38 years when I was diagnosed with cancer. It was crazy of me to think that I could just turn up to chemotherapy and go home and keep doing that same thing over and over again in regards to my diet, my exercise routine, and everything else, and heal
Yeah.
myself. So what I decided to do it was to change everything in my life. And no one told me to do that. And like yourself, I kind of went step by step and I started changing everything, but I did not wait for anything or anybody outside of me to heal me. I
Yes.
realized that I needed to heal myself. And I think
Yeah.
another very important point you brought up is that we live in this society of comparing, right? And also, like, you just have to keep pushing through unless you've been, through something like a war or something really terrible. You shouldn't complain, just keep going. But we are all
Exactly.
getting sicker and sicker at a younger age, although we are living longer. But it's that trauma, that compassion, the self-love that we don't have to ourselves anymore because we are so disconnected. We can't even, this conversation might be foreign to many people because they are so disconnected, from
Yeah.
themselves and from recognizing that in actual fact they need help with
Yes.
whatever they went through. It doesn't have to be something sinister or tragic. And I think that is so important what you've just said. Really, really beautiful. When did, like, when you look back at your um like journey to healing, when did you start feeling they were healing yourself? Because obviously you mentioned you were, having outbreaks every month and, still, feeling physically uncomfortable. But like, when did you started feeling, this is whatever I'm doing is actually working, like this is,
Yes. I believe that was when I accepted that I needed to make changes in my life.
wow.
And this was also connected to work, because before coming, I came back to Italy in 2019, but I lived in Australia for 3 years in
Yeah.
Melbourne. And before that, I was living in Thailand. And I've been a hard worker for most of my life, even a perfectionist. So I really want to impress people and be the best on
Yeah.
everything, you know. And I realized since I was diagnosed with genital herpes, and the outbreaks that I was having taught me that if I'm stressing my body too much, so if I'm working too hard, most likely I will get the outbreaks straight away, you know. So I also had to slow down and work less than what other people were doing. So, for example, for me, if I work in I usually work in hospitality, so restaurants, you know, as a waitress or chef. I study as a chef actually, so I've been working most of my life in restaurants, and then I studied yoga and became a yoga teacher eventually. But in Australia, in order to sustain me, I was also working in restaurants, of
Yeah.
course. And I realized that I couldn't work more than 25 hours per week, because otherwise my body would get ill, you know, would get, you know, sick, and I
Yeah.
was getting outbreaks. So I realized that working less and also um, giving enough time every day, especially morning time, for pranayama, so breathing exercises, feeling connection with my own body, drinking water,
Mm-hmm.
slowing down in general,
Yeah.
really helped me tremendously, you
Wow.
know, to heal. So this probably happened in 2017 when I really realized I really had to slow down.
Yeah.
And actually there is no point of rushing, you know. And I'm not saying this because I'm a lucky one, I don't have a family, I don't have a responsibility. It's not like that. But wherever you are, there is always a solution wherever you are with your life, you know.
Mm.
Of course, if you have less and less desire and less need of, for example, buying new clothes,
Yeah.
you need less money, you know. So everything is a matter of priorities.
Yeah.
And so I learned to prioritize my health in
Yes.
front of having beautiful clothes all the time, or, you know, or spending money to go for a drink with friends like every day because I need to escape my life, you know. And
That is
everything
so,
is
yeah.
priority. And everybody can do that, you know. So
Yeah.
when I moved to Australia, I had 380 euros on my bank account. I had no job. I knew few words in English,
Wow.
and my journey started in a hostel with other 10 women in the same room. And from there, I start from the scratch everything. I look for a job. So I'm actually the example that we can't change our life as you are doing as well after what happened to you. And I know many women, they are already doing that. But sometimes we think we have less potential that
Mm.
what we actually have, but our potential is limitless.
Yeah.
So it's
That
very
is so,
important to
yes.
remind ourselves this every day.
I think that's so important. So many things that you've said. I think we live in a society that prioritizing our health for real. It's it's not something, we might say it, health is the most important thing we have, but most people are living a life that they do not treat their health as the most important thing that they have. And I lived through that too. I had to change my professional life because I knew that if I went back to my old corporate job, then I would go back to feeling stressed and my cancer would come back and I would get sick again and all the rest of it, because I was always searching, like I said, I want to, be perfect everything. I want to be the best at everything. But within that race, I almost killed myself because my
Yeah,
cancer was stage 3, right? So it wasn't like a joke. It wasn't
yeah,
like it was serious. So within that, I lost myself. I almost lost my health. So I think
yeah,
it's so important that you mentioned that because we think that our worth is based on financial things, right?
yeah,
As a society, we put all our, unless you have, material things, then who are you? What's your worth? And I think that, after what we have been through, I think we can see the beauty in so many other things, and so that life is so much more than that. And, again, like I said, it wasn't easy for me to leave my corporate job. And I'm not sitting here thinking like, oh, it was all easy. It was all, fantastic. I was given everything on a silver plate. It wasn't like that at all. But I created a different
Yes.
life for myself as soon as I start making changes and putting my health as number one. And I think what you've said as well, like, it's so important. You said, when I said, when did you start feeling the changes? And you said, when I spend time with myself, like with myself, doing the pranayama, connecting to myself. And, that is the active healing. That is so beautiful. People just think that, health is so complicated. And worse than that, people think that they can go and pay somebody and they can do that for you, but you can't pay anybody to connect yourself for you. You can't. You have to do that. That work is the only person that can do that is yourself.
Yes. And especially when you try to read these outbreaks that you have or these symptoms that you have, and understand that they are there for you because they are trying to communicate with you.
I
They are
know.
not there to be against you or to destroy your life. It's a way our soul communicate with us, through the body experience. So we can either accept it or just deny it, and fight it. And but it's a very huge opportunity to have, it's weird, but to have these symptoms,
Yeah.
because it's a way we have answers
Yeah.
about our own life.
Definitely. So now,
Yeah.
Elisa, if you had one thing to say for somebody that has just been diagnosed with genital herpes, what would you say to that person?
Okay. First of all, that so many people have it, and they don't talk about. So you shouldn't feel alone,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't feel that you did something wrong, that actually this is happening. And I know this is a lot to hear, but this is happening for you,
Yeah.
for your highest best. And and you can actually not only heal yourself, but you can heal others, and becoming more authentic, and really connected for the first time in your life with your vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
and really healing from there, because we need to be vulnerable. We need to integrate the experiences in order to heal.
Yeah.
There is no other ways. So find the support. So talk to maybe a psychotherapy, to have your psychotherapist, to have your space, of course, but also be open to talk to people that you get closer with.
Yeah.
Because another thing that I have to say, I've been followed from basically I went to an hospital in Australia. There was a specialized in this kind of issues. So sexual, I don't know in English the word, sexual.
Transmitted. Yeah. Yeah. Diseases. Yeah.
And actually, they told me you don't have to say these things if you don't feel to. So you don't have to let people that is with you know about this if you don't feel to. And I found that very strange, and I found that very unfair, because
Right.
everybody need to know,
Yeah.
and need to have the freedom to choose if to be with you or
Yeah.
not, knowing what you have,
Yeah.
in that moment. And the funny thing, I never had a boyfriend that told me, okay, no, I'm not going to be with you now. Actually, they get even more closer to me because I've been authentic to them,
Yeah.
and of course we were very careful, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, so don't feel alone. And as I said, so many people has it that they just don't talk about that, don't feel ashamed, and see this an opportunity to know better and make changes in your life.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Elise.
Thank
That's been
you.
such a beautiful. I have learned a lot from you, and I can imagine that you're just going to be, helping so many people in whatever path you choose. And thank you so much for sharing such a personal
Thank you.
story. You were a beautiful soul, and I'm blessed that our paths have crossed.
Yeah, me too. I'm very happy with that. Thank you.
Take care. Namaste.
Take care. Namaste. Thank you.